In today's episode of the Platform Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Leo Whyte. He's heading over as the head of sales and marketing at Genestack. And at Genestack, they're unlocking the power of life science data, right? And it's actually quite interesting. They're going into really interesting topics, right? Obviously, one key, climate impact, that the data is relevant for. But I really want to deep dive into, what Genestack is really doing in depth, but also how Leo is thinking about growth for the company. So Leo, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Of course. Yeah, maybe give us, a 360 overview. What is Genestack all about in your own words?
Yeah, absolutely. So Genestack is a company that really supports a large amount of the life science industry. So everything from pharma to small biotech and consumer goods, and even the agri-science industry as well, with reducing their climate impact through reducing experimental redundancy and good data management. That also increases their speed to discovery, so it speeds up their R&D and makes collaborations easier. We're a data management company primarily, and so we do that by helping companies get all of their data together, make it findable, make it fair, and make it action ready. So anyone across the company knows what data they have access to, how they can use it, and actually use it to do experiments, virtual experiments, and do less redundant experiments, therefore reducing single-use plastics and all the impact that has on the climate too.
What would you say? Which types of organizations benefit the most? Are we talking like corporate labs? Is this like in the university sort of academic world? Like where we typically seeing it being leveraged?
It's a great question. Both is probably the best answer. Our client base, is composed of both pharma and academia. So companies like AstraZeneca, Roche, Unilever, Bejo, Corteva, all big clients of ours. But we also work with some of the world-leading academics like the Wellcome Sanger Institute and places like that as well. So good data management has its place across all of science, and it's a really important topic that people need to get a hold of if they want to be really competitive and successful in today's market.
And what would you say, who typically within those organizations is, raising the flag or is the champion for the product? Like who is, who has the oversight? Is that like a data science management manager? Is that an operations manager? Is that actually researchers? Like where does it come from, the pool?
Oh, it's really variable, and it often depends on the size of the company and the stage that they're at. With smaller companies, some of them are very wise, and they're sort of the research team, they're data scientists. They want to get ahead on this and make sure that their data is well organized before it gets out of hand. Some particularly larger companies have whole teams of data scientists, IT teams, data managers, that their role is to look after this data. And so they tend to be, coming to us and looking for an improvement to their current processes. Bioinformaticians and lab researchers are also really important clients for us. Often they are the people that use the data in the day-to-day research, and therefore, it's essential for them to be able to get access to that and know what's available quickly and easily. So there's a real spread of different clients, and as I say, it depends on the size of the company.
Makes sense. Now, what would you say? How do these folks, learn about Genestack? Like, what's the typical client acquisition channels you guys leverage?
Yeah, so again, it's kind of varied over time. Obviously, as any small company, when you first start out, you have a few customers, you do a lot of outbound, you start to drive your business. In recent years, it's become more inbound and word of mouth. We're really proud of the great work that we're doing, and some of the great knowledge leadership that we're doing out there as well. And so a lot of our clients come to us because they've come as referrals or through our website and through some of the articles that the team are publishing.
You mentioned the website there. Like, what do you, as a lead head of sales and marketing, sort of, having this angle, like, how do you think about the website? Like, what role do you would say does it play for the business?
So the website is one of many faces that I think Genestack has. I think it's the key resource that people come to understand who we are and what we do. It's a great collection for all of the articles and blogs and white papers that we put out there in the world. And it's also a way in which people can quickly get in touch with us. Social media is kind of the other really important phase for us. A lot of our clients and our users, follow us there and keep track of what's going on. So the website for me is a hub, but it's not the be all and end all necessarily.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say, because typically marketers we have on the show, they're very sort of, I would say, critical about their own web assets always. There's always room for improvement. There's always, you mentioned it's one of many faces. That face sometimes changes over time. Where do you see sort of the biggest strength of the page versus where do you see the biggest room for improvement moving forward?
Oh yeah, definitely always room for improvement. I'm a scientist, so I'm always looking to make things better and to try something new. I think with our website, our real best part is, the real knowledge base that we have there. Tons of articles, white papers, all available for free, and really helping to gather that knowledge for people that are just trying to understand what data management is, what makes it good, what makes it bad, what to look for and things. So that knowledge base is really important to us. We are in the process of evolving as a company. We've got some really exciting things coming in the next year, and with new technology, new analytics, all sorts of great things with AI, etc. So the website is in flux, let's say. We are looking at, what's the evolution of the website as well, and how does that face change, as you say, as we change as well. So we are always open to feedback, but always looking for, as I say, the next way to present ourselves.
Super interesting. I would love to, switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about your journey, because we've been speaking about what you guys are doing, who you're serving, the types of customer you're working with, also a little bit about growth, the different channels, like merging from an outbound to an inbound case, very interesting. What I would be curious about is sort of your journey as a marketer. You come from a business development background, if I'm not mistaken, right? You're a founder. And now there is so much to continuously learn about marketing and sales. Like, what's sort of your go-to resources? Where do you use? Is there any communities? Is there paid? Because there's so much out there. Like, what do you personally like to do?
Oh, I'm a scientist, so I read everything I can get my hands on. So I came up really through business development, but also through technical sales. So as a scientist, I joined a company and was responsible for technical sales demonstrations of software. And that really gave me a grounding in understanding that sales is all about understanding your client and how to help them. If you're able to help someone, then the sale will come naturally. So marketing, from my perspective, having led various divisions and been responsible for marketing my own business and things like that, I take the same approach. I think if you're able to help people grow their knowledge, grow their understanding, and understand what it is that's going to be valuable to them, then sales happens much more naturally. I've worked in sales and marketing, outsourcing companies and things like that. And in terms of resources, I think to me, it's people. I have a lot of mentors, a lot of people I've worked with in the past that I've learned from. I read as many, blog articles and podcasts and things as I can to just try and listen to what other people are trying, what's working, what's not working, and why. And I wouldn't say there's one particular resource that I would say you must go here. It's also about finding what fits with the style of the company, what fits with your style as a marketer, and your approach to sales as well.
Cool. I have some rapid fire questions as we're slowly moving towards the end of the interview. Are you ready for those?
Sure.
What is the last book you read or the last podcast you listened to?
Oh, that's a really good question. It's called Inspired by the Silicon Valley product group. Really good book on product management, product development. They've got a new one out on product marketing as well, which I'm currently also trying to digest.
What is one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
So many. I think making sure that our customers get the most value out of every interaction with us, and whether it's pre-sales or post-sales is probably our biggest focus.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what would be the one thing that you would want to have fixed for your role in your company today?
Oh, I'd love to see more automation of some of our internal processes. Like all sales organizations, there are processes and approvals processes and things like that we must go through, and the same with marketing before things get posted. So I'd love to see more automation on that side of things.
Okay. Next question would be, what is the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
Oh, we've had some restructures and as the company evolves and things like that. So I'm very much a people-focused person. So what keeps me awake at night is making sure that my team all understand what's expected of them, that they're not overloaded, and that we meet our deadlines and our customer expectations, both existing customers and potential customers that are waiting for that great materials that we are producing that they love to digest.
Mm-hmm. And for the very last question, I would like to do a little bit of time travel, right? Let's go. You mentioned your researcher roots. Let's go back to the days of the University of Glasgow, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're heading out of formal education into the world of research, but also business. Like, what's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
Don't be afraid to try new things. When it comes to business, a lot of companies have a traditional and fixed way of doing things. And just because they've always done it that way doesn't make it the right way. Don't be afraid to rock the boat a little when it comes to these things.
Leo, I really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathway Presents. I want to give you the very last word, right? If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Genestack today, what's the one thing they should take away?
The data management is not optional for good life science research. It's essential if you want to lead the market.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathway Presents.
Thank you very much for having me.